So my friend sent me this link to Copart of a Sonic Blue Terminator Cobra that was being sold. He was interested in buying the car and repairing it. His dad's done body work for years, and he thought this would be a good car to go with. And it did look like a really nice car inside and out. The interior looked fantastic. The car looked really good. Looking in the engine bay pictures, you can see that the front of the car, the radiator support's twisted pretty badly. But from the strut towers back, it looks pretty good. I mean, you can never tell until you buy the car. But that's how my Silver GT was. Actually, my Silver GT was way worse than this. It was pushed all the way up to the engine block. But this one didn't look too bad. And so he was thinking about doing what I did with the silver car and buying this car and cutting the front off and putting another Mustang's front on there. It only had 49,000 miles, and it didn't look like it was in too bad a shape. You can see it is leaking some stuff out of there. But unfortunately, the car was purchased by somebody else who parts these cars out for a living, and that's okay. That's their business. That's their thing. But it's really hard to see a car like this that was about to be saved by someone and then outbid and purchased by someone who decided to buy it for parts when it could have been saved. This is one of 1,407 Sonic Blue Terminators produced in 2003, and 2003 Sonic Blue was only offered that year for the Terminator Cobra, and of those 1,052 were coupes, 355 were convertibles. And so really this is one of 1,052 cars, and a lot of them have been wrecked and totaled and everything. And so it's really too bad to see a low production, nice looking car, even low mileage car, get used for parts when it could have been saved. Now, sometimes people will buy these cars and part them out, and then they'll sell the shell, and somebody can take the shell and try to put it back together. And I understand why people do that, and I understand that people who do this for a business want to get the most money they can out of the parts, and then they'll sell it to somebody who loves the car and wants to put it back together. And I feel bad for the people who do end up buying the car to put it back together, because they're people like me. I've done that before. And when you start buying parts for the car and trying to put it back together yourself, you start to realize that you've kind of been shafted, and that somebody has taken something and they've stripped everything off of it, and now it's up to you to put it back together. Now, that's your own choice if you're going to put a car back together, and maybe you have one that's been wrecked really, really bad and you have most of the parts you need, and it doesn't hurt you to go ahead and take the parts off the really destroyed one and make a nice car out of it. So some people do that. Maybe a car that's rolled over or done something that's really unsafe to put back together, or a flood car that's completely destroyed with the electronics. Or, it's hard to draw a line of when it's okay to part a car out and when it's okay to fix it. And some people would do anything to fix a car like this. And so when I've made videos like this before, the comments speak for themselves, and there are so many people out there who say, I would never have parted that car out. I can't believe somebody didn't fix that car. It wouldn't have been that hard to fix. And everybody is on a different level. To some people, it would be extremely hard to fix a car like this. To me, I had done it myself with no experience, and I love driving my Silver GT every day. I've put 4,000 miles on it when it looked worse than this one did. So having no experience with body work or anything, and just doing it myself, I can say that it wasn't as difficult as you might think. But the comment sections really do speak volumes, where people feel the same way, and they really don't want to see these cars parted out, especially such an iconic piece of history. A Terminator Cobra with forged internals from the factory. These cars have created so many dreams. And I think that a lot of people would love to buy this car fixed and repaired for a good price. And I think it's real easy to buy a car like this and just start selling parts off of it. That's the easy way to go about it. And, I understand people say, well, there's money to be made, and they have no heart and soul for the car, that they want to save it, and they don't look at it and think, man, I love that car, it'd be better to put it back on the road. They just think of a quick way to make money. And I'm not going to attack someone who does that for a living, because I wouldn't want somebody saying bad things about me in any way, and I try to do the same to others. But when it's an iconic car like this, I think people in the comments will say it for me. I don't have to say it when they look at a car like this and say, I can't believe somebody did that to the car. You know, if it was a fire car or something where it's really, really messed it up, or if it was wrapped around a tree and the whole unibody was twisted, that's one thing. And, you know, you might look at this car and say, okay, we got it on the lift and notice that it's really twisted the whole frame rails all the way to the middle of the car by the transmission tunnel, and there's just really no way to fix it, then it's okay to part it out. But I really don't like seeing these cars parted out, especially like my friend was going to buy this car and fix it up, and it would have been a nice one. And there's a lot of joy that comes in fixing these cars. I really enjoy driving that silver one that I fixed, and I get a lot of enjoyment in taking it places and seeing it on the road again and putting miles on it and driving down the highway at night with the gauges lit up and the radio on and looking at such a masterpiece of a vehicle that's back on the road when it was left for dead. So lots to be said about cars that are parted out, but the thing is, this was a very sought after car. Sonic Blue is becoming one of the most valuable Terminator colors. Competition Orange, Mr. Chrome, and Sonic Blue are the ones that I see people asking the most money for, and so it's too bad to see one of those cars getting parted out. Now, like I said, somebody might fix it. Somebody might end up buying the shell and put it back together. And, you know, they'll probably feel kind of ripped off when they realize they have to buy every single part for this car and somebody else has made money off every one of those parts. And they might not like that, and that's a choice that they made. And the person who parted the car out would say, you know, that's your choice. But, you know, I think of that on fixing the yellow GT and some of the other cars I have. I think, wow, this guy really just sold everything off of this, and now, you know, he's left it up to me to put it back together. You feel kind of ripped off a little bit because you feel like somebody got away with everything and then they took advantage of you for wanting to save the car, and now you're the one paying for it. So anyway, just kind of a thought. There's so many different comments in the comment sections of all these parted out cars that I go through, and so many people have really interesting things to say about it. And anyway, just thought I'd make this video and document this car because it might not ever surface again. I think there are plenty of, you know, parts for these cars out there already. It's kind of sad to see another one stripped down for its parts. Now, there are people who do need certain parts and they're hard to find, and they say, well, if it weren't for the people who were parting these cars out, then they wouldn't have parts for their own cars. And I understand that too. I'm not saying that none of these should have ever been parted out, but I think the ones that were destroyed really bad still had plenty of parts out there to give the market what it needs. One thing's for sure, and that is there will be less of these cars as the years go on, and this happens to them, and it's too bad to see, but hopefully this car, even if it's parted out, gets saved and somebody puts it back together. Even if they made a race car out of it or something, it'd still be cool to see this car back on the road. But all the Terminator specific parts will be sold off of it pretty quickly, I'm sure, and then that'll be it. So anyway, just kind of wanted to document the car. I like making the videos about this, looking back at these videos, and you start to realize how many of these cars get lost when you start making videos like this and they accumulate. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Put in the comments what you think about this car, whether you think it should have been saved or whether you think that putting it back together after it's been parted out is a good idea or not, because I know someone who's doing that with the zinc yellow Terminator, and I'm very proud of them for doing that, and they're very happy about it. And so I think there's a lot to be said about that. And so thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for more Mustang content.